Hey, howdy, and hello there, folks. Welcome back into Tier 1 Ascension. T1A, I'm Tank.
I'm Cranny. What's up, motherfuckers?
Today we're getting into tier jumpers, guys that are going from a certain tier, like wide receiver 3. Oh no, they're going to be wide receiver 1 this year. So we're going to get into that. We got some players you should be looking at. And on that note, let's get in. All right, tier jumpers, getting right to it. We're starting off with Tyler Boyd. For me, Tyler Boyd is already starting out at his ADP of 163. Going in the middle of the 13th round, wide receiver 52 off the board. That's not how it's going to finish. So, first part about Tyler Boyd is going to be about T. Higgins. T. Higgins has had a torn labrum in his shoulder. The labrum can be played with, but he opted for surgery in March. Most of the post-surgery for that is 3 to 6 months. So we're looking 3 months is June. 6 months is going to be in September. So he's finally healthy and cleared for contact after those points.
Isn't he missing? Isn't he going to miss OTAs?
He's going to miss OTAs. Yep. He's going to miss everything until he's fully go.
Probably not going to play preseason games?
Probably not.
Yeah.
And that's usually a big deal. You know, you start missing all that preseason stuff, then you're slower to get back in, slower to get the rotations. And that's all we're looking for with this opportunity. What they're doing is reattaching the tendon back to the bone. So the tendon was fine, it just detached. So they're reattaching that. So there's a high success rate of it re-injuring, prolonged symptoms. Everybody knows the old muscle hamster Doug Martin. He had this after his big rushing year, and it just plagued him the rest of his career. So with his coming in, Boyd's going to be heavily rotated the first part of the season. He's going to have a lot more involvement. This is going to lead to a few more drives, a few more, rotations in. So this is just going to bring him back into that range where he was last year of running as a wide receiver 3. Last year he did 67 receptions, 828 yards, and 5 touchdowns. With T. Higgins' injury, it's very likely he just repeats that same stuff or exceeds that.
Word. I mean, I like that. I like Tyler Boyd this year. Even if Higgins is fine and everything goes really well, I'm banking on Cincinnati repeating what they did last year at the end of the year, and they went pass heavy. They put the ball in Joe Burrow's hands, and they said, "Take us to the fucking promised land. We drafted you number 1 overall, and you're a stud. Go get it done." You got a Jamar Chase. I mean, it's a beautiful thing there. You got to love the Cincinnati offense. The additions, the offensive line, that team is just gonna fucking storm through people this year. It's gonna be great.
Well, and we saw during the Super Bowl, Higgins wasn't performing as well. They'll just switch it right to Boyd. There's no latency in that for Burrow. I've got Chase, I've got Boyd, I've got Higgins. I could just feed them all.
Yeah, buddy.
So, all right. So that makes that one pretty easy. You're up.
I got to go with my boy. You know he's my boy. I've been talking about him ever since last year.
Oh, yeah.
KJ Osborne, and people are starting to get on this train. I love it. I've heard it in other podcasts. People are starting to see what's going on in Minnesota, O'Connell being there, everything that's going to happen with that. KJ was a 5th-round pick in 2021. He played 3 years at low-end Buffalo. Didn't have the best stats. 96 catches for 1,490 yards and 12 touchdowns in 3 years. It's not that great. He transfers to Miami for 1 year, has 50 catches for 547 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not that great, but making a step up in competition. It's all about progression right now. He took his time getting on the field, appeared in 9 games in his rookie year, mostly doing kick returning duties. Once he got his chance, he literally ran with it. Last year, he had 82 targets, 50 catches, 10 plays of 20-plus yards, and converted just over 50% of his receptions into first downs, tallying up 655 yards and 7 touchdowns on the year. His ADP right now is 185 via Fantasy Pros. Middle of the 15th round, wide receiver 74. This dude finished wide receiver 39 last year. And Mike Zimmer shit ass, I'm going to run the fucking ball as much as I can offense.
Yep.
Now he's got a brand new head coach who's offensive minded. Think Sean McVay, because that's where O'Connell came from. This kid's got it in him to be way better this coming year than wide receiver 74.
So are you essentially feeling that he's going to be like the Ayuk of the offense? Like most of the receiving work all went through Debo. So that's going to be Justin Jefferson moved all over the field, plugged in everywhere. You think Ayuk is, or the Osborne's just going to be Ayuk type role?
I think he's like the Tyler Boyd. Like I run together. I think he's like the Tyler Boyd of this offense. He's going to have spike weeks. He'll fill in, especially like you're talking Higgins being injured. Adam Thielen's older. He's going to deal with some injuries throughout the year. He missed games last year. I have those stats on there, what Osborne did. Osborne has 114.6 QBR rating when targeted. That's pretty damn decent. He had 8 red zone targets last year and 6 catches. 292 slot snaps. That's 39.9% of his routes ran from the slot. I don't think that's going to be the same this year.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the last rate. I think Justin Jefferson slips in there a hell of a lot more than that. And KJ gets to go to the outside where he's going to see one-on-one coverage. I don't even care if it's a damn good corner. Right? I don't. Because if Justin Jefferson is in the slot against a weaker corner and a safety over the top of him, KJ's on one-on-one guys. And I think he's good enough to beat him. Without Thielen last year, which was 5 games, he had 10 catches on 21 targets, 193 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's not like blow you out of the water crazy, like, oh my God, that's great stats. That's a struggling offense. It was a crap, piss poor team. The 3 of the games that Thielen missed were towards the end of the year. His snap share was 67.6%, which I like because that means even under Zimmer, he was getting out on the field. And now you bring in O'Connell, and they haven't brought anybody else in that's going to take KJ Osborne off the field. They're going to rotate with. His biggest competition, honestly, his biggest competition right now for targets is going to be Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
And that's Dalvin
I remember the BC hype when J-Jets got there. Like, I don't know. Olabisi might take him over.
Yeah. Thielen and BC Johnson.
Yeah.
So all those guys that dropped Justin Jefferson 4 weeks in the redraft leagues. Way to go, guys.
Or traded them in their rookie year.
So like I'm saying here, KJ is going to need the coaching staff to implement the new offensive scheme to help the focus around 3 wide receiver sets because Thielen will always play over him. He's a veteran. Thielen's good. He's savvy, and Cousins trusts him.
Oh, and I was going to say the connection with Cousins there.
Yeah, so that's not going to go anywhere. So he's going to need 3 wide receiver sets or an injury to Thielen. But Thielen missed 5 games last year, numerous games the year before, and in 3 wide receiver sets. Even without all of that really taking place this past year in a major amount of crap, I screwed that part up. In a big piece, Thielen missed 5 games with a 3-game set and a 2-game set. They didn't run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, and KJ still saw damn near 70% of the snap share. That's a lot of damn plays. Now you bring in O'Connell, you should still see that, if not more. I'm thinking more like 75% of the snap share. KJ could outperform Thielen's yardage and receptions this year. I have a lot of doubts about his ability to overcome Thielen's red zone prowess.
Yeah.
A lot of that is trust. A lot of that is physical ability. And Thielen has a lot of that.
Their tight end play this year, Irv, what's he going to be?
I'm not even worried about him. It's been Thielen, it's been JJ. The tight ends, they're going to catch a 4 or 5, but I don't think it's going to be all centered towards Irv Smith. I think a lot of this could come down. KJ is going to have to put together yards and big plays. He had 7 touchdowns last year. Those were all on big plays. He's going to have to overcome that or a Thielen injury to maybe then make red zone prowess. That still is going to take him from wide receiver 39, where he finished last year, to what I'm predicting as a middle range, low end wide receiver 2, somewhere in that 18 to 24 range, just on volume and yardage alone. I'm not thinking he's going to blow you out. This is not a guy I'm saying go fade the crap out of wide receiver and then put KJ Osborne in as your wide receiver 2.
He's your new wide receiver 1 for your team.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Stupid. If you have multiple flex spots, get this guy in a flex spot.
Yeah.
If you have multiple wide receiver spots past 3, get this guy on your team. And you can get him at a cheap price in the 15th round. Just target him. If you got to get him in the 14th, listen to me now. Take him in the 14th round.
Yeah.
You won't regret it.
Well, as we get closer to the season, that's like these guys are just going to get more and more expensive. Like this is the buy now. Like buy these jumpers.
Early dynasty starters.
That edge. Yep.
Everybody's doing their early dynasty starters right now. These are the guys you want to go get late and pile them on top of all the studs you got in the beginning rounds.
All right. I know you're excited about this one. So we've had 2 wide receivers. We might as well go with something else now. Let's bring in Greg Dulcich.
Oh, fuck me. I didn't realize you were going to do him this early. Shit. You know what?
So,
stand by your conviction. Fuck it. I got to hear this shit.
We've got 2 rules here at Tier 1A. Be water, stand by your convictions.
Here's fucking one of them.
Yep. I know Russ doesn't support tight ends. I fully understand that when I start this. I'm expecting Dulcich. I'm not expecting Dulcich to be a tight end one. We'll make that clear. We're not saying he's going to go from rookie to the top 12 tight end of the year. I understand.
Show me some conviction. I thought it was the next Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy who? All right. So he's not going to be the tight end one, but he might be tight end one on the roster, and that's been apparent since he was drafted. Given Alberto's health track record, he had a shaky rookie year, but even as he was healthy last year, working with Fant, he only had 1 game above 50% snap share, and that was the game that Fant was out. He had 58 snaps. He only ran 22 routes in those 58 snaps. 4 of them for 4 receptions for 25 yards out of 5 targets. That was a whole game. He just didn't give you anything. So there, with Nathaniel Hackett coming in, he runs a different scheme than the previous management system. They also don't have ties. It's a new management system. So one of the other things that I'm seeing with Albert is he's been blocking a lot more than he's been running routes. So far, jiggly ice. Alberto, he only ran routes on 43%.
Say his whole last name.
Well, see, I saw it earlier today, and it's like Albert O. Chu. Like it's supposed to be a Chu.
I can't fucking say it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how they pronounce it. I've tried a million times.
I had it
He's
last
Alberto.
year.
He's Alberto.
Yep. I'm just not that talented. I can handle the Hawaiian and Islander names. That's as far as I can go.
Not this guy.
I'm only so good. All right. So Alberto only ran 43% of the time he ran routes. Other than that, he's blocking. Kelsey, 71% of his snaps, he's running routes. Dalton Schultz, you don't really think of him too much as a premier, but an up-and-coming tight end. He still had 53, so above 50% of his snaps, he's running routes. So you need people running in routes in order to have targets. So if he's not doing that, it's already showing that the offense the team last year was like, okay, well, this guy's more of a blocker than he seemed as an actual pass catcher. So the other thing that I was looking at, like, what else? How can I show that Dulcich is actually a better pass catcher? Well, let's go look at their college careers. For Greg, he finished his redshirt junior year at UCLA by posting a 42 receptions, 725 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's a decent wide receiver output. Alberto, his best season, 43 receptions, 466 yards. And we viewed him coming into the league like, oh my gosh, he's going to be a passing dynamo, and he's coming in with his college quarterback. Drew Lock.
He's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
He's so fast.
But what's funny is they've used him more as a blocker. So that's how I think with everything going on in Denver, they're shaking everything up. They've got 2 great tight ends. Fantastic. Who's going to be the better one? Nathaniel Hackett coming in has already had a fantastic variety of people that have come into his offense. He's bolstered great performances from a whole bunch of different talent. The year that Jacksonville had that great rushing attack, Fournette was on fire. Blake Bortles was on point. That's weird to say.
Yeah.
Jacksonville made the playoffs. That was the first year that Hackett was an offensive coach. So he also had the Robert Tonyan 10-touchdown season. He's worked with Mercedes Lewis. So he's involved his tight ends. He's also the guy that headed the multi-headed RB approach in Green Bay the last couple of years with Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon. Because of that, he went out and he wanted Dulcich. He's like, as soon as he picked him up, he's a prolific player down the stretch, can stretch the field as a tight end. So they're already looking to implement him, and they've already announced that it's an open competition between these two guys. So I know a rookie tight end isn't everybody's favorite target, but his ADP right now is 207. He's taken off the board as a tight end 45. That's his expectation for the year. I could easily see him tight end 27, 25 receptions, about 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
What's that put him at? What's his fantasy points there?
Depends on your tight end premium league or not.
Just call it straight PPR league.
Let's see. That's
I know you can do that, man.
Not on the spot. It's a little late in the day.
Throw it to me again. How many touchdowns?
5.
Okay.
400 yards, 25 receptions.
So 5 touchdowns.
There's 30.
Yeah. 400 yards. That's 40.
Nope. 70 points.
And
25. 25.
25 catches?
Yep.
So 95 points.
95 points.
That's not. I don't know, you fucking asshole. You kind of
And there you go. Yeah. So he's going to jump from the tight end 4 range up into a tight end 3, maybe close to a tight end 2, but I highly doubt that. But for a rookie, that's a possibility that can come out with that offense and how they're going to show up.
If he overtakes the tight end spot and he's the main target at tight end, yeah, I can see that.
I see them running Albert O in the run block scheme and using up some of his plays.
Those are stats I got to look at. Because all of Albert O's stats right now are with Fant on the team.
Yeah.
And so if they did roll out, 2 tight end sets, I'm sure Albert O was the one that was on the inline and Fant was out. And so, that might be one of those like sneaky stats where it looks like this guy just blocks, but really it was just scheme. You know what I mean?
There was a breakdown that I was looking at that he had the second highest inline, and that was like tight formations, multi-tight end. He was on the line, and Fant was played out.
Well, I think it's probably because he's a better blocker than Fant was.
Yeah.
Piss poor blocker.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got the wheels turning. I'm going to have to go look at it now.
That's what we're here for. Fantastic.
Nah, hell no.
On your stuff. You're up next.
Who the hell am I supposed to talk about now?
Bring on the missile.
Missile next. Well, okay. Clearly you can see a little bit blurry, but it's there. I'm a fucking 49er fan. And I am the worst 49er fan out there. I never want to own players off my team. I hate my fucking team. I'm like a terrible fucking fan of a football team.
Well, that's that you and I talked about when I first started really getting in is having fan teams.
Yeah.
If you start noticing they got 2-3 players, you're like, you're never going to get them off them.
Nope.
But they're going to bury their own team by having fandom teams.
I don't do that shit. I'd rather go down sinking because I didn't want to have any of my goddamn team. But Elijah, the Missile Mitchell, you got to like this kid. He's got a chance to run. He had a chance to run with the job last year, and he didn't look back once he got it.
Nope.
Over 11 games played, Elijah amassed 963 yards, 19 catches for 137 yards, and 6 touchdowns. If you extrapolate that over a full 17-game season. You have 1,488 yards, 29 catches for 211 yards, and 9 touchdowns, or 252 PPR fantasy points, which would have made Mitchell RB8 last year. RB8.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't miss 6 games, which is the only reason why, because in Shanahan's offense, the kid was still getting 16 to 20 carries a game. He saw a monster workload when he was there. Yes, they don't use him in the passing game, but they don't use any of the running backs in the passing game.
Yeah, that's just
they use George. Yeah, they use George Kittle. They use quick screens of the wide receivers. They use Deebo Samuel.
Modified West Coast.
Yeah, he is right now being drafted as the RB22 overall, an ADP of 45, which is the late 4th round. Okay,
that's so gross.
You're getting a guy who's got a shot to be an RB1 in the 4th round.
Yep.
I looked at some of the names that were going ahead of him, and I will let people take Antonio Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
I will let people take James Conner. I will let people take David Montgomery and the Josh Jacobs of this world, and I'll take the young guy. And I'll take the young guy who is talented and in a perfect situation over all those guys coming off the board previous to him. I will love sitting back, stocking up in super flex leagues on my quarterbacks, my high-end wide receivers, and in the 4th round, I will take my second running back, and it'll be Elijah Mitchell in the late 4th, and take the shit to the bank. The beauty of it also is then you can then back him up, right? Because there are so many running backs.
It's so cheap.
And the cost is cheap.
Because of the same dichotomy you were bringing up earlier, the San Fran backfield.
Yep. Go get Davis Price. Go get Trey Sermon. Go get Jeff Wilson. Maybe not JaMychal Hasty. You probably get him off the free agent wire. But if you pick Elijah Mitchell, you can go further into the draft, get an insurance piece, and still have a piece of the 49ers backfield. Just pick your next favorite one.
Yeah, just pick one.
That eliminates
a game or two.
That eliminates this 4th round risk. I'm not going to lie. I think the ADP is a little inflated right now. I think as we get closer and closer to August, though, that ADP will start to drop a little bit even more, right? Start getting some hype. Breece Hall, he's going to come back up. He's rated a lot lower than everybody's giving him credit for. I think he gets into the teens. Yeah, I think he sits into the teens coming up time. So if you can get him right now in the 4th round, just make sure you're insurance policing yourself and you drafted smart. You should have, if you're taking Mitchell in the 4th round, you should have 2 quarterbacks and either a premier wide receiver or a premier running back to pair with Mitchell and go from there. Me personally, I'm 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, and I'm taking Mitchell in the 4th round. To me, that is the foundation. And then you just take the value at wide receiver later on.
Yeah, right? There's a whole bunch of values to scoop up from wide receiver from 5th round on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mitchell had a 64% snap share last year and 81% opportunity share. That means that on the 64% snap share he had, he was given the ball on 81% of run plays or pass plays that he was in on. They fed this kid.
Yeah.
4.9 yards per touch. 56% of his carries came with 7 in the box, and he averaged 4.7 yards per carry still. He's a beast. He is built for this offense. His 4.4 speed, his high burst rating, and definitive one-cut and go running style. Exactly the formula for success in Shanahan's stretch run zone scheme. Go get Elijah Mitchell. Take care of your risk. And, where's Wilson and Davis Price going in startups? 20th round?
If that. I mean,
go take care of your risk there later on.
Well, Davis Price is going up right now because he's a rookie. People are getting on that train a little bit of, rookie hype.
And fuck that. I'd take Jeff Wilson over Davis Price right now. I'm a Niner fan.
Yeah. But that, come redraft season, I think that ADP drops again on Price. The price.
I don't know, man. You know what sucks about that? What sucks about the Niners backfield is the insurance policies always run up the draft board in preseason games, right?
Yep.
So because you see those guys, right? Like Mitchell's going to see a handful of carries in the preseason, and they're going to shut him down. Davis Price, Jeff Wilson, Trey Sermon. I bet you see a lot of Davis Price and Trey Sermon in the preseason this year. And as soon as you see those guys and they bust one fancy-looking 15-yard run,
it's
going to just they're going to launch up 3 or 4 rounds. Just pay attention to it. If you're going to get Elijah Mitchell, be smart. Get your insurance policy. Just get a piece of this Niner backfield.
And remember the Sermon hype. Don't overhype them.
Yeah. Fuck. So happy I got off of that boat last year. Bye.
All righty. Woo. Yeah. I've got Elijah Mitchell in a lot of spots. Did a lot of homework to get him last year in late rounds, and it definitely paid off. This offseason, you can't trade him. Not for
Nobody
any
wants him.
value.
Nobody fucking wants him. Yeah, everybody's afraid because of the Niner backfield.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they say. Well, he's a Niner. Well.
You just send him to daddy, bud. You just send him to daddy. You just send him to daddy right here. I'll stick him right here. I'll take care of him for you.
I've got him as an RB2 in a lot of my teams. So if I can get an RB8 out of my RB2, I guess I'll go with it.
If Elijah Mitchell plays 16 games, I don't know, he's going to miss something. The way he runs, just
everybody
how
does.
He's going to miss a game, maybe 2. If he plays 15 games this year, mark it. RB1. The offense is too goddamn good. Trey Lance is just not that good at throwing the fucking football. They're going to run this through the running backs, through Trey Lance. This 49er team is going to come out. They're going to punch people in the face.
Well, and with
they're going to play defense.
You can run some RPO. I mean, that'll help it.
You and your RPO live.
So this is a run-pass offense.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris Collinsworth. You shut the fuck up now.
Whoa.
Next.
Next.
Yeah.
Next song.
Fucking next.
Next is Ronald Jones.
I'm excited for this one too.
No, you're not.
Yes,
Current
I am.
Current ADP is 153 going off as the board is RB 46. That's a RB 4 or 5 range. Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Fucking kidding me, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the mighty have fallen.
RB 40 fucking 6?
Yeah.
People be stupid.
I know he's not the most prolific receiver, but that isn't why he was brought to Kansas City. He is going to be the hammer. He was going to be there on the first and second down grind. He was going to get the goal line work. You know, you can't predict touchdowns, but saying 7 kind of feels safe.
That feels pretty good.
That feels pretty good.
Yeah, and they're gonna, he's going to be the John Holmes of that KC offense. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not get into that. In 2020, he was given 192 touches, which he capitalized on 5.1 yards per carry. And that's time that he split with Fournette on the season. He finished as an RB21 on that year. He was able to succeed even when the boxes were stacked. 8-man box, he faced 22% of the time, where Fournette only saw 13%. So he was still able to outrush beyond expectation in a stacked box, which that's what he's going to do in Kansas City. Every time they're bringing Rojo in, they're like, okay, run. Because he doesn't pass block, he doesn't catch, but he's still going to have success because of that offense, because of what they do. He's still going to have the opportunity to get in there and pound the ball between the tackles. He's fast. I mean, he doesn't seem as fast as he is. He's got a 4.5, 2 speed. His pro day, he get 4.48. Yeah. So, I mean, he can break some stuff off too. So
he's a big dude.
Wouldn't be surprised if they get down to the 20 and he breaks 1 or 2 off for a 20-plus run.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
So, and that's exactly what Reed said when they brought him in. They're like, nobody doubts his rushing ability. Mm-hmm. We're bringing him in to pair with CEH to work them together. So you're going to probably even see some 2-back sets where both of those guys are in there, running Rojo as a fullback. Oh, maybe not. Now he's going to be the running back and CEH goes off. But we're not doubting his rushing ability one bit. My suggestion to really grab him is in half PPR or standard leagues where you're not getting any of that bonus from him trying to attempt receptions. He's going to give you games where you could spell him as your RB2, but your comfortable play range is going to be an RB3, a flex. But who knows? He could just be a big king of trash time in Kansas City, especially if that receiving core can click a little bit and get going. So I project him to finish right on that RB2-3 border, running back 26, 700 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, at the maximum of 25 receptions for 200 yards and maybe a receiving touchdown for a total of 8.
The Lex in it. I like
Flex.
that, actually. And I actually looked back in because I was talking a little bit of shit to you the other day about Rojo making catches.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he actually has a couple years where he's catching like 30-plus balls.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he can catch. It's just not his, like, forte. It's not his, like, we're going to put him on the field. But pass blocking, that's what cut him out of Tampa.
Yeah.
They don't want him to pass block, so.
I think he's a guy that, and before we even started doing all this, he was a guy I was definitely targeting in late rounds. Just those running backs are sitting in good spots, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Penny, Rojo. Like all those guys were like coupled in this way low down. Once everybody filled wide receiver and running back spots, you were a team that kind of faded on running back a little bit. These were guys that I was targeting because they're like good dart throws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like throwing darts at a dartboard that the bullseye is this fucking big, and like I'll take that, you know. So yeah, I'm on you with Rojo there.
One of the other things that I found that blew me away, it just keeps surprising me every time I read it. He's 24. He's going into his 5th year. He's 24 years old. So he's already got 4 years of pro experience, 2 of them with Brady. He's been to a Super Bowl. Like, he's got a ton of experience now.
It's a good dynasty asset.
You should really see him as a rebuilding tool. Like, if you're restructuring your team, you went all out on wide receivers this year in the rookie draft. This is a great guy to put in your lineup, your RB2. Yeah. It's not going to get you a whole bunch, but he's going to have a steady little stream for you to come in.
Yeah, if you're a rebuilding team and you get a hold of Rojo, you're waiting first month and a half of the season, and you're hoping to shit. He just pops off, right? Like 160 for 3 touchdowns in the KC offense.
Yep.
And you are flipping him to a competitor on a steal of a deal on Rojo the lemon car, because for the rest of the year he ain't gonna do shit for you. And that competing team that gave you that 2023 second for him is gonna look like an asshole after that.
I bought him in the offseason, like near the end of last year. I even sent you this. You're like, whatever. I was like, 3rd round picks, 2023. I went and bought Rojo wherever I could.
Oh, 2022. You were selling 2022.
Yeah, selling 2022. Sorry. Yeah.
Which is fine because look in your super flex leagues right now, like what running backs were going in the 2nd round that have the opportunity to Play in Kansas City.
Have the opportunity, just the opportunity.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, even looking at Rashad White, like the guys that are going in that 2nd round, I gave him a 3rd round. Okay, what's in the 3rd round?
Samir White, and even then he's jumping up into the 2nd round. Yeah.
So
not bad.
Yeah.
Nice USC to USC move right there.
Yes.
That shit.
Right on.
What I got next? Am I up next?
Yeah, you're up next.
Yeah,
you got the Green Bay guy.
Boy, I wish we could just close this shit out already. I just want to get to my guy. All right, let's do this shit here.
All right,
AJ Dillon, the fucking Robin to the Aaron Jones Batman, and I'm gonna stick to that this year. You're gonna fucking sign that shit down. That's my conviction. AJ Dillon's going right now at RB 26 overall, ADP of 67.6. That's middle of the 5th, late 5th, early 6th. Really kind of depends on how your drafts are going. A lot of people are probably going to come up a little bit more because of his age, and a lot of people are buying into what he's going to be next year, right? Fucking what he's going to be next year. I really don't want to buy into what AJ Dillon's going to be next year. If I can get him this year right now at that 6th round spot, or if I can go trade for him from somebody who's willing to give him up for a little bit less than what he's actually probably worth right now, you're going to want to go and do that. He's primed to split the workload in an offense led by Aaron Rodgers. Scoring opportunity should be plenty with the departure of Adams. And as everybody says, vacated targets, go to running backs. AJ had 34 catches last year on 37 targets. Both of those numbers should increase this year, even with Aaron Jones upticking on the Devontae Adams splits that he has. I don't see Aaron Jones this year lining up in the backfield, right? Like I don't see them being like, AJ come off the field, Aaron's going to go in, or vice versa, right? I think they're both going to work in unison, not a lot of the time, but it's going to be few and far between, I think, where you see one running back in while the other one's sitting down. And those times, I believe, are going to come in the red zone and the thumper times, right? I don't think they're going to run Aaron Jones in between the tackles. I don't think they're going to have Aaron Jones in at the 15-yard line, and that's fine, right? If you're in PPR leagues and you're getting AJ Dillon at the 5th round rate you're paying him at, and he's your RB2 at that point, right? So, like in comparison with Elijah Mitchell, you're getting Elijah Mitchell in the 4th round. He's your RB2. If you're getting AJ Dillon in the 5th round, imagine who you added in the 4th round to where now AJ Dillon, who was already an RB2 last year, is now your RB2. You got to be pretty happy with that.
Even going with your previous guy, Mitchell. What if you're running Mitchell Dillon?
Not a chance in hell I would do that. There's not. I just couldn't. I did.
You're gonna in the 4th round.
You're gonna run risk, right? And you're always taking risks. That's the beauty of these tier jumpers. Is like you get the partiality of taking out risk. Like you get to walk away from that and be like, all right, I'm not gonna take risk because everything goes right for this guy and he doesn't get hurt. And here's the splits and here's my projections.
Drafting his ceiling. You get burnt every year.
Yeah. So if I'm going a 4th and 5th round, if I rolled right all the way to the 4th round without touching a running back, and I went back-to-back picks, Elijah Mitchell and A.J. Dillon, the first fucking 3 guys I picked had better be guys that would be in the top 3 of their position, right? Because if you didn't, you took it on too much risk already, right?
Yeah.
These guys, these 4th and 5th round running backs, guys that have the potential to go from RB1s or RB2s to RB1s, these are the guys you want to have as your RB2s, right? And you want to pair them with your hero running back strategy, where you've got a top-end running back in the beginning of the draft, and you pair one of these high-reward, medium-risk kind of guys. You know the workload's there. You know they're going to have the opportunity. They've already shown it to you. Those are the guys you want to have as your RB2s when you've done the hero thing, which to me, 0 RB, that's toast. Like, that's gone away a bit ago, right?
I think that 1 or 2 years ago. Gone away because there's so much spectrum in the running back position now. And it's not really based on your half PPR, standard, and what goes on from there.
Well, that new craze that's come in now is hero RB, because you can get a top-end running back in the first 2 rounds, pair that with a quarterback in Superflex leagues, right? So quarterback in the 1st round, running back in the 2nd round, quarterback in the 3rd round, and then, take value on those wide receivers.
Yeah.
And the values of wide receivers right now are fucking insane, especially in dynasty startups. Let's get back to this because, man, I could go off on how to fucking do startups.
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon. With the departure of Adams, the RB should see plenty of targets this coming year. It's not hard to see Dillon taking over as the main running back in Green Bay. But by that, I mean he's controlling the majority of the carries, not the catches. Seeing plenty of targets and becoming a thumper near the goal line, like I said before. Last year, he saw a 42.6% snap share. That would increase. 187 carries should increase. Like I said before, 37 targets, 34 receptions. That should all increase. There's a 40-point difference between RB23 and RB12 last year. That's equal to 2 touchdowns, 200 total yards, and 8 catches. That's all A.J. Dillon needs to add to his totals from last year to be RB12, to supplant Nick Chubb as RB12.
Yeah.
Think about that, right? And anybody who's hung up on, Aaron Jones is there and he's going to take, slow down a second. Aaron Jones is already there. And if this moves to a closer 50-50 split and A.J. Dillon is getting 7.4, and A.J. Dillon's getting 7.4% more snap share, 7.4% equals 2 touchdowns, 200 total yards, and 8 catches.
Yeah.
There's your RB1. And yes, I am saying it right now. You're hearing me say it. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, RB1s out of Green Bay this year. That's the way that offense is going to go. That's what Devontae Adams leaving. That's what they brought in to replace Devontae Adams is all funneled to and pointing to is Christian Watson is not going to be a stud. Sorry, Alan Lazard isn't going to be a stud. He's already proven that.
What about Randall Cobb?
Randall Cobb is old and washed out. Robert Tonyan's coming off an ACL. Josiah DeGuara is a fucking jag. Yeah. They did nothing because they trust that LaFleur can run this offense with that good offensive line, both those running backs. And Aaron Rodgers has done it year in and year out. He hasn't had shit to fucking throw to and continues to put up high-powered offensive numbers.
Well, you look back,
fucking do it again this year.
2 to 3 years ago, Who did Aaron have? He had. I mean, even Adams wasn't even up there yet.
Adam still hadn't come out of
Yeah.
his rookie slumps. It took him 2 or 3
Everybody was
years.
coming into the season just like this. Like,
Yep.
who's he going to throw to? It's got to be so and so, and it's got to be so and so.
Here's a big one for people to look at. And I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying if you say Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon can't be RB1s, Kamara and Mark Ingram did it in 2017.
Hell yeah.
Kamara's rookie year.
And
I feel like that's
too. I mean, one was more of your steady rusher, a little bit of passing game. The other one was mostly passing with a little bit of rushing.
And I think that's what you're looking at this year in Green Bay is Aaron Jones catching 80, 90 plus balls, getting a decent amount of work on the ground, and A.J. Dillon is the thumper that scores touchdowns.
Yep.
This offense is still going to be high-powered. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're still going to win the division, all behind Aaron Rodgers. Invest in A.J. Dillon in the 5th round as your RB2. Take that shit to the bank.
Fantastic. Too bad I don't have any shares of A.J. Dillon.
I'm all on that gap here.
I mean, a lot of people are stuck in the price, so you're like, you can't trade a second for him. But a first seems almost too much for him.
Well, yeah, so you trade a second, a third, a player. Like, get creative. If you're trying to go and get A.J. Dillon, you're trying to pry him from somebody who acquired him in some fashion, and they're going to buy into the hype. It's not just hype of what's going to happen this year. It's hype of what happens from this year and moving on. Yeah. And so if you're going to go acquire A.J., you're going to have to come at it with a little bit of spunk, a little bit of initiative. You're probably going to have to overpay a little bit. Like, good luck getting fair value from somebody to give that to you. So if you don't have him, fucking bad on you. Like, add him into a trade later.
Stick to like your convictions.
Yeah, when he's like the second or third piece to a big trade, add him in there. Other than that, you're fucked. And just get him in your other startups. When you do your startups, go get him then.
Get him where you can. You don't have to get him everywhere. Diversify the portfolio.
Wish I did more of that because I don't.
Sometimes it's just guys you gotta have.
I like my guys, man.
Yeah. Speaking of liking guys, I like this guy for this year. I think he takes the jump.
Speaking of liking guys. We can edit this part out, right?
No, we're not.
Okay, speaking of liking guys.
This part out. It's the only time that we're going to talk about liking guys. I mean,
oh shit.
At least for this podcast. All right, okay, Derek Carr. I got 3 questions for you.
Okay.
Tua or Carr?
You fucker, Carr.
Oh, this one's real hard. Justin Fields or Carr?
Carr.
Oh, how about this one? Trevor or Carr?
Just to be an asshole, I want to say Trevor or Carr.
Okay, there. Now he's QB 12 on the year.
Fucking
that's where he's sitting in rankings right now. Is he's 16th QB coming off the board. Going into this year, I think 6 point per touchdown. He's definitely going to be a QB1. 4 point per touchdown. He's going to sit right on that cusp between 12, 13, 14. He finished 5th in yards last year, 4,804 yards.
I could see him breaking through this year finally.
Who saw that coming? Nobody.
Yeah.
And who did he do it with? Renfro, Waller, and Zay Jones.
Shit, he didn't even have Waller for like half the fucking year.
Right. So now he's got Renfro, Waller, and Devontae Adams.
Yeah. And then Ruggs went all evil fucking Knievel in Las Vegas.
He had 68.4% completion rate, 23 touchdowns on the year. I see the yards staying around the same. I don't think that's going to be too outlandish to go 4,800 yards again, but the touchdowns are definitely going to be going up this year. That offense is going to be more moving, and it's not going to rely back into the old offense of we're going to ground and pound until we have to throw. They're going to have to throw to keep up in that division. They're going to have to keep that ball moving, and it's going to go through the air. So I don't think it's really going to be a point that the running backs like Jacobs, Drake, Zamir White, they're not going to be as big of a factor this year. It's all going to be about Derek Carr moving that ball down the field through the air. So that's how I think he takes that jump from tier 2, that quarterback 2, into that quarterback 1 range. And you can get him usually around pick 54.
Pick 54. That's not bad at all.
So you're looking at your second, third quarterback at that range. This is a guy that you could lock up.
Yeah.
Get a lot of good value before a lot of this hype kicks in and people realize they should have had him all offseason.
Yeah, I just did a super flex snake startup, and that's about where he went at. And I thought that was really good value. I was kind of bummed I didn't get to cash in on it.
It's one of those guys that he goes off the board. You're like, you know what? Fuck, damn it.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted that guy.
Yeah. But you were hoping he fell to you. That's the shitty part. Is like you were hoping he fell to you because you didn't want to reach for him in the round before.
But as soon as you have him, you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with that. I'm good with that. I can roll with this.
Yeah.
Well,
I can work around him.
Adams, I mean, you can get them within a round of each other. So if you're trying to run a stack, at a turn, that's a great, easy stack to try to find. So
that's actually one thing I've liked most about Carr is the stacks you have available to you because you can get Waller, Adams, Renfro, Jacobs if you're feeling saucy. Although I'm a little down on Jacobs now. That 5th-year option didn't decline in that.
Yeah,
Josh McDaniels coming in, like I don't know, it just seems sketchy to me. I feel like he's gone after this year. And that's a tough spot because then, he's a running back on a second contract, and that's always fucking tough. So,
yeah, I don't think they're going to bring him back.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. It's going back to you.
Okay, so I have 2 in a row, right?
Yep, you're going to finish this out. You've got.
So I'm going to do the guy who people are going to be like, who the fuck are you talking about? And then what we've all been waiting for, what you've been waiting for, what I've been sitting over here just fucking twitching on my seat getting to is my number one guy, my biggest tier jumper. You can get on this guy right away. So I'm going to spit this out fast, hard, and heavy like your favorite local fucking rapper. I'm going to start off with tight end Hayden Hurst from Cincinnati. He's being drafted right now as tight end 27 overall, a 210 ADP. That's middle of the 17th round. If you were to tell me right now, hey, I think I'm going to go get CJ Uzomah and I'm going to grab him in the 17th round, nobody's going to blink a fucking eye. Yeah. However, Uzomah finished tight end 17 last year. There were some inflated tight end numbers last year, right? Fucking insane. To show that, Uzomah in 21 versus Hurst in 2020. 2020 was the first year that Hurst went to Atlanta before Kyle Pitts came in and just showed him what, a little black on a guy crying. It was fucking crazy. So 63 targets for Uzomah in 21, 88 targets for Hurst in 20, 49 catches for Uzomah last year, 56 catches for Hurst in 20, 493 yards for Uzomah, 571 yards for Hurst in 2020, 5 touchdowns for Uzomah, 6 touchdowns for Hurst in 2020. Here's the difference in those lines, which sound really fucking similar, right? You're talking about a 7-catch difference,
40
not even 100 yards of difference in receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. That was the difference in 2020 between tight end 9 versus Uzomah in 21 putting up those numbers as tight end 17. Okay? So you're going to get a tier jumper from tight end 27 to those stats, and it's just going to depend on how the rest of the league plays out. Everything kind of fucking unfolds for you.
Oh, yeah.
Hurst could be a tight end 1. With those same stats, Hurst could be a tight end 1. They both have very similar athletic profiles, both same speed, both speed scorers, pretty close in age, all this kind of stuff. So they basically just did a Xerox copies, print, get us another fucking tight end. They signed him for 1 year. He's in there. Dalton Schultz, Dawson Knox, both last year. Robert Tonyan, Logan Thomas, and Hayden Hurst in 2020. All tight ends drafted outside of the top 20 that produced top 10 finishes at the position in those respective years. Those that fade the tight end position in drafts, Hurst is your guy this year. If you're looking to wait until the later rounds and grab your flyer up, go get this kid. Burrow and the gang took major strides in becoming a top offense last year, and I don't see them slowing down one bit. The additions of the O-line will allow Hurst to flourish as a pass catcher and spend less time inline blocking. For those that believe there are too many mouths to feed in Cincy, just remember that Hurst put up tight end 9 numbers by running routes with Julio and Ridley.
Awesome.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
That's tight ends, too. I mean, volatility between tight end 9 and tight end 20, it's like 3 touchdowns.
It's a small amount. It's a small amount, right? So you want to go get the guys that are on more high-powered offenses. And if you don't think Cincinnati's a high-powered offense, I don't know what the fuck you've been smoking and drinking because that's a high-powered goddamn offense. Go get them. Okay. Crescendo. Drum roll. My number one tier jumper and a guy who should be on everybody's list this year right now. You go get him 2 rounds before you have to. I don't give a shit. But just for the scenario of all of this, wide receiver 34 overall, an ADP of 84.4. He's going in the late 7th, early 8th round. Wide receivers like Adam Thielen, Lockett, Elijah Moore, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith, and the Sun God himself are all being drafted ahead of Cortland Sutton. Are you fucking kidding me, people? You're kidding me. Sutton is now a year removed from ACL surgery and gets a legitimate quarterback for the first time in his NFL career. The easy comparison is Cortland and DK. I ain't fucking lying. I didn't stutter. You heard me. Cortland Sutton is DK Metcalf for Russell Wilson this year in Denver. The path of least resistance is the right one. Be like water. Sutton for DK. Sutton showed in 2019 had the skill set and athleticism to be a top-end wide receiver in the NFL. Finished as wide receiver 19 in PPR leagues with the QBs throwing the ball at a horrific rate.
Horrible.
Here are 2 great comparisons for you. Just like we did with Hurst and Uzama. DK Metcalf in 2020. His top year. Cortland Sutton in 2019. DK Metcalf put up 281 points. Sutton put up 226 points. 129 targets for DK, 126 for Sutton. 72 catches.
Who was his quarterback that year?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
83 catches for DK, 72 catches for Sutton. 1,300 yards for DK, 1,100 yards for Sutton. 1,783 air yards for DK, 1,560 air yards for Sutton. 10 touchdowns for DK, 6 touchdowns for Sutton. Russell Wilson was DK Metcalf's quarterback. Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, and Brandon Allen were Cortland Sutton's quarterbacks. Since 2015, Russ has supported a top 15 wide receiver on his offense, and this is the perfect storm for Sutton to launch into wide receiver 1 territory, and you are getting him as a wide receiver 3. This is the kind of shit that your fucking buddy calls you and says, hey, Walmart has toilet paper on sale for $1 a fucking case. Get your ass down there and go get it.
Let's go.
You get off your ass and you go down there and get it. And I'm telling you right now, anywhere you can, any way you can, go make trades for Cortland Sutton, draft Cortland Sutton, get him on your teams. I don't want to hear no Tim Patrick, no Jerry Jeudy, no Albert O bullshit. Go get Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
He is a goddamn Xerox copy of DK Metcalf. They have the same speed scores, they're damn near the same fucking size. DK is like 10 pounds bigger, but I mean, he's a fucking animal. They have the same
abs.
Yeah, they have the same fucking profiles. And he's walking into a better offense. It's not the run first, run, hey, Russ, save our ass offense. It's going to be a fucking pass happy in the AFC West shootout. Get this shit on. Go get Cortland Sutton. My guy.
Fantastic. So that's going to wrap up our tier jumpers. We've got Tyler Boyd, KJ Osborne, Greg Dulcich, Elijah Mitchell, Ronald Jones, AJ Dillon, Derek Carr, Hayden Hurst. Who else?
Cortland motherfucking Sutton.
All right. Send us out.
Be like water and stand by your convictions. Adios, motherfuckers.